What if I told you that you could be blind and not even know it? Of course, I'm not talking physically. I'm talking about how that you see everything. When I'm talking see, how you perceive, how you gather and process this information, how that you see God, how that you see others, and how that you see yourself. You see, Jesus healed a man who was born blind, but the real story is not just about his eyes. It's the real story is about how we all see and the story that shaped that sight. Now, I know we like to think that we think for ourselves. I mean, my gosh, this is how we get along, but the truth is we've been shaped. We've been formed. Go back to the story, the potter in clay in the hands of the potter in Isaiah, I think. But you and I, we've been shaped by family, by culture, by church, by nation, by political parties, by jobs, by circumstance, all of these things. So, with all of that, we've inherited a way of seeing, perceiving, understanding. And most of us have never stopped to ask, why do I see the world the way that I do? And this is so important because, politicians and news, they can come out with these stories and get you angry and full of anxiety and all of that. I want to go to John chapter 9 here. There's a man there born blind, and from his birth, he's born blind. Now, guys, he represents us all. Blindness is all he's ever known. No memory of sight, no comparison. He's blind. And my friends, that's how it is with us. That's why Jesus had to be incarnate, guys. If you are born into a story and you don't know you're in it, then fear feels normal. Death feels normal. Competition feels right. Division feels necessary. We don't know any other story. And my friends, the Bible calls this, if you can hear this, calls it sin, missing the mark, right? So sin is not what we do here in that sense. Sin simply missing the mark. In Greek, falling short. Falling short of what? Missing what mark? Here's what we've missed. Sin is not just doing wrong, it's seeing wrong, it's perceiving wrong. Because how you see shapes how you live. Again, what Mark, Jesus, that is what God had intended for man to be. And Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Let's go all the way back to the beginning to show you how the story works. The serpent doesn't start with behavior. They're in the garden. The serpent's there. What does the serpent do? He introduces a story. And what is the story that he tells Eve? God's holding out on you. You've got to take it for yourself. You get to decide what is good. And from that moment, humanity begins to live inside of the wrong story. And this story, we begin to live in a story that's full of fear, scarcity, control. My goodness, that's why we go to war all the time, right? They got all, we don't have all, we got to get this, we're going to starve, right? It's scarcity, it's control, it's fear. But move on from Genesis a little bit. God calls Abraham out of the land of the Chaldeans, the land of Ur. And it's a land where God demands, the gods in that land to them demanded sacrifice. And it was fear-ruled religion. And God is calling Abram into a different story, into a new story. But Abraham is still learning. And then we get to Genesis chapter 2. Now, we're just talking about story. I know we're moving along fast. And God comes to Abraham, and he says, offer your son. And Abraham doesn't argue. He should have argued, but he doesn't argue. Why doesn't he argue? Because that made sense in his old story. right? As long as other people die, as long as other people are oppressed, as long as other people are segregated, as long as other people get kicked out, it's fine. But watch what God does right at the last moment. He's got the knife drawn back, ready to sacrifice his son Isaac, and God stops him in the middle of that. Now, in the story, we often focus on Isaac, and that's not bad, but in the story, Isaac doesn't die. Something else died that day. What is it that died that day? Abraham's understanding of God. Is Abraham's old story. It died because God was not like the gods in the land of Ur that he had came from. Abraham thought, love is proven by what I sacrifice. But God was showing Abraham something else, not only Abraham, but showing us. And God was showing Abraham, I'm not asking you for your son. I am the God who provides. Now, Abraham names the place Jehovah Jireh. If you've been in church anytime, you've heard this term, Jehovah Jireh, and it gives you the definition right there, meaning the Lord will provide. But it means something else also. It means the Lord will see. Now, I love that. The Lord will see, because what we've been talking about is the blindness, because we've lived in the wrong story. So, because on that mountain, Abraham begins to see differently. He begins to see God differently. That's why, again, I go back. Jesus told him, if you've seen me, then you've seen the Father. In John chapter 9, it's about Jesus heals a man that was born blind. But watch the progression here. At first, we get the progression. I don't know who he is. The blind man says, I don't know who he is. And then it comes, well, I know he's a prophet. And then in the final scene with this man that was born blind said, Lord, I believe. Well, why? Now his eyes are fully open. But so did his understanding. Jesus didn't just give him physical sight. He gave him a new way to see, a new way to perceive. Now, there's more watchers here in the story. The Pharisees, they make the claim, well, we see too. And Jesus says, no, you don't. You don't get it. And then Jesus goes on to say, your sin remains. Look how he said, your sin remains. Now, why was their sin remain? I thought he'd come to forgive sin. Yes, but because the reason their sin remained was because they refused to see differently. Their sin remained because their old story remained. Something new here is on the scene, and they refuse it. Guys, these are things that go on today. I mean, we, make America great again. We want to go back to the old place where white people ruled. We can't, Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice. Now, guys, there are many voices. There are many stories out there that are grabbing, enticing for your mind. But only one leads to life. So the question is not, are you hearing something? Because, yes, we're being bombarded. The question is, whose voice is shaping how you see? Now, Paul in Acts, he tells us, I was sent to open their eyes. Now, I love that. I was sent to do, we would have thought he would have said, I was sent to save and save. I'm sent to open their eyes and to bring them from darkness to light. I was sent to bring them from one story to another. Guys, that's mission. That's a mission of the church that we've been called into. See, that's not just behavior change, my friends. That is sight. That is giving sight to the blind. If you remember the road to Damascus, what happened to Paul? He's blind for 3 days. He's got to be blinded to the old story so that he can open his eyes to the new. So the question is not, Am I right? The question is, what story has shaped the way I see? We can ask ourselves the question, are you seeing through fear? Are you seeing through control? Are you seeing through Pax Americana, peace through strength? Or are we seeing the world through Christ? I mean, it should draw our hearts. Lord, open our eyes, not just to see differently, but to live inside of His story. It's His story that you and I, my friends, have been invited to participate in.